Well, welcome to the Lead to Grow online training course, part one, module one, lesson three on workplace culture. You know, we're going to enjoy learning how to build an inspiring workplace culture. I'm really excited about this lesson three. In 1987 was a big year with my spiritual walk with the Lord. One thing was the Lord helped me see my work as a ministry and not a job. This work as worship ministry was the key that differentiated the culture of our company from others. And this is the reason why I want to share with you that every business leader can build a workplace culture where people thrive and profits soar by integrating the lordship of Jesus Christ into every area of your life, be it uh, in your family or at church. But what we're going to talk about is in the workplace and the marketplace. When I read scripture, I have found that it makes no division between the sacred and the secular parts of our lives, between Sunday and Monday. I have also found that many Christians, from the CEO to the teacher to the stay at home mom, spend a great deal of time working and yet do not realize how their work intersects with their faith. They worship on Sunday and see the rest of their week as having little to do with their walk with God. God gives us our work, talent, and skills so that through them we will worship Him and He enjoys it when we use them well for His glory. Have you ever considered that around the conference table, around the water cooler, or around the cubicle is an opportunity to worship the God who created us? At work, we see a world a pastor will never see. We have conversations with people who never have set foot in the church. One of the most revolutionary concepts is that all work is important to God, not just the spiritual work like the work of a pastor. Starting in the early 1990s, I introduced to our company employees the Colossians 3:23-24, which undergirded everything in my life and my family and in our workplace and marketplace. And as you read this along with me, if you allow me to talk about this, is that whatever it says, whatever you do, and to me, that's exactly what it says. Be it at church, at work, or even at a convenience store, or out on a soccer field, or even at Target, it says, whatever you do. And it goes on to say, work at it with all of your heart. To me, excellence is not a sometime thing, it is an all time thing. It goes on to say, it says, as working for the Lord, not for men. How would you like to have a culture at work where your people came to work for a purpose greater than themselves? And then it goes on to say, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward, it is the Lord Christ you are serving. You know, In my company, our people clearly understood that when they came to work each day, that they did not come to work to serve Bobby Albert, but they came to serve the Lord Jesus Christ. Can you just see yourself getting up and going to work each day with joy in your heart, saying, I am going to worship the Lord today? Well, in my organization, like I'm sure you have seen, like we had in our organization, the traditional organization chart with the boss at the top. And we had one of these to show the people the organization's different roles and responsibility of people. However, many years ago, I also created an upside down organization chart with me as the boss, Gary, guess where? At the bottom. And it was my responsibility to equip, develop, and serve the leadership team. And it was the leadership's team responsibility to equip and develop and serve the supervisors and so forth, all the way up to the frontline people. You know what? You've heard this often. Jesus told his disciples in Matthew 20:28, the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. Well, one thing about our employees is it was clearly understood by them that at the top of organization chart, this upside down organization chart was the customer, why we existed in our company. And even above the customer was Jesus Christ based on Colossians 3:23-24. So when we uh, internally served each other well, we served the customer well, and therefore we serve Jesus Christ well. Well, I wanted to share with you about our work as worship ministry in a that took place in a holistic way. I and what I'm talking about here is the mind, body, spirit, and emotions. And emotions to us meant relationships. And it also included the workplace for employees and the marketplace for customers and suppliers. Our objective with the work as worship ministry in our company was how we could serve our people, being the employees, and to help them develop into all God created to them to become. So let me share a sample ministry activities in our company's workplace, because you are about to learn how you can build a workplace culture where people thrive and profits soar. When I sold my company in 2011, if you walked around our place of business and talking with, to the employees, you would find our people would talk with you as though they own the company, not Bobby Albert. Why? Because they knew Bobby cared for them. And you can't buy that stuff. So let's look at uh, starting with the workplace and also starting about our mind. Well, we were in the moving and storage business. And during non-peak season, we would spend a great deal of time in training, because the peak season for us was during the summer when so many people were, the kids were out of school, and that's when relocation took place. We also provided educational assistance to the local university and also the local junior college and other types of educational assistance as well, and paid for that. We also had a what we call a mover skill rodeo. It was an annual event, but it was used to not only to we we had competitive teams to play, but it was so educational toward our not only the people in the office, but the people that worked on the trucks at customers' homes as well. Not only learning to with quality improvement on skills, but it was how we conducted ourselves in the home of the customer. Dealing with body, we had a strong wellness program. We would once to twice a year we would invite the hospital and the clinic, one of the clinics, to come and do things, simple things like take blood pressure, check cholesterol level, talk to people if they wanted to, some help on quit smoking and those kind of things. um, and part of the body, once to twice a year we played what we call, it's a weight loss program called Move It and Lose It. And people love that. That's a reason why sometimes we would bring it back for a second time during the course of a year. And we paid for employees gym memberships as well. Now let's talk a moment about the spirit. Is that we had weekly Bible studies that took place for many, many years. And uh, those weekly Bible studies, I led them for many years until our business grew to a point I had to travel so much. So some of the other leadership team members would lead them. We also subscribed to Marketplace Chaplains. They came and did worksite visits once a week. By the time I sold the company, we had four chaplains that would come once a week, and they were on call 24/7. They would do hospital visits for the whole family. They would conduct weddings and funerals at no charge to employees. And it was a great experience for our employee. And keep this in mind is the employees knew they could stop their work to right there in the workplace to stop and talk to a chaplain. And the chaplains also knew they had the freedom to interrupt people's work to talk with them and to minister with them. We also had prayer teams for various types of things, but we provided a means for our employees to submit prayer requests, and we had a team of people, which included me, to pray over those requests. Women of faith, we would pay for all the expenses for women in our company to attend the Women of Faith conferences. In some, typically it was in another city. It was also provided, men that worked at our place of business. It was also provided to their wives as well. And it was a great benefit to our employees. Also, annually, we would pay for all the tickets for men in our company to attend a men's beast feast. And we would buy tickets, Christian concert tickets, and based on whoever wanted them, through concerts that came into my city, and which occurred often. And it was always amazing to me how many tickets we would buy. Whenever there was an opportunity for a financial or a marriage enrichment workshop that required a fee to pay for that, we would also pay for those expenses as well. So this was how we were developing people spiritually. On the emotion side, we would have what we call Friday stand-up meetings for all employees, and it would last simply as 5, sometimes 10 minutes. It was very simple, but it was to keep our people informed verbally of what was going on in the company. During our peak season, we had what we call Happy Fridays, because let me just share this. During our summer peak season, people were just flat out stressed. I mean, in fact, our leadership team, we would take bets on who's going to cry first because it was always challenging. You know, just think about this. We're in the moving business. We don't show up when we're supposed to. We break things or we lose things. And be honest with you, sometimes customers are not nice people. So uh, I created these happy Fridays during the peak season to just for people to have some fun and to just laugh at themselves. And it was things simple like which was one of my favorites, were we would have once a year, we would have the water gun fights. We'd go outside, you know, we live in Texas and it's usually pretty warm, and we'd have those water gun fights. You would also have me, I would go and purchase snow cones for people based, you know, on their order. We would have a Friday that where you'd find me behind a table making banana splits or ice cream sundae for, you know, employees that wanted them. Uh, we, you know, another fun thing that we did on one of these Happy Fridays is I brought in a dunking tank, and guess who? Guess who got to sit in the dunking tank? Well, it was me. And one of the funniest things I remember seeing is our director of IT. He's a long, tall, lanky Texan. He always wear cowboy boots. Well, you know what? We got him to sit in the dunking tank in his swimsuit, and guess what he was wearing? His cowboy boots. And it was the funniest things to see that happen. Also, typically in July, I would bring in a couple of physical therapists. People could sign up to attend a session. Just you know, give somebody some a massage. It really was. It was amazing to me how many people were so thrilled for that. They just couldn't wait for the next year that they get that. And then typically in August, I would bring in 2 wrecked cars, and I give our employees a sledgehammer, and I tell you what, they would just beat the heck out of those cars. Some cars you would find, I'm sad to say this, but would be a customer's name because they'd be some kind of customer that would be famous in our company that was so hateful to our people that made somebody cry. And also, coming out of the peak season, we would have what we call bowling and burgers. I would take all the employees to a local bowling alley, and we play one line of bowling, and of course they got fed with burgers there. But we had silly prizes, you know, like who had the biggest bowling shoe, who had the loudest thump when their ball hit the alley, who had the best gutter ball. It was just silly prizes. But again, it was just a way to release some stress for people just to have some fun and laugh at themselves. And it was really a good time. Also, uh, once a year, sometimes twice a year, we'd shut down the whole company for a half a day, if you can imagine that, for annual team training days. And we would introduce a theme that it would be the theme for a whole year. And lastly, 3 times a year, I would give a state of the company address to all employees. We shut down the whole company for about an hour and a half, and people heard from me the status of where we were, where, you know, like where we've been, where we are now, and where are we going in the company. Well, let's take for a moment and talk about the marketplace. Uh, you know, I to understand our business model better is that 99% of our business was moving tens of thousands of people from California to Illinois, from Florida to Virginia, from the state of Washington to the state of Connecticut. Since we had more business than we could handle, we had to use other moving companies in other cities to help us as our suppliers. We had a prayer team, and with this team, we dealt with both the customer and supplier by, every day we dealt with both the customer and supplier by phone and electronically. And so we provided a means where they could submit electronic prayer requests. And we had a team, which included me, to pray over those requests. Now, let me just share some things about Marketplace Chaplains. Is when our moving coordinators picked up that a customer who is emotionally stressed over a job change or even a death or even a divorce, we would partner with Marketplace Chaplains to send a chaplain to the customer's home to minister to them, where they lived at origin, and we would also offer it again at destination. And when a supplier was telling us about an employee who was, let's say, for example, in the hospital, and they were very concerned for the employee, we would send a chaplain with the supplier's approval to the hospital to minister to the employee wherever they lived. In our own town, I started a Christian Business Leaders Forum, which was a luncheon, and we would typically have 2 of these a year. And I invited some guest speakers to talk about faith at work at our national and international and the Texas trade associations that we were members of. I started a Movers for Christ prayer breakfast at these annual conventions, and using the same format as the Christian Business Forum. Well, often I get asked, Bobby, is all of this legal? Well, the simple answer is yes. I'm not an attorney, but I have learned that we as leaders have a lot of freedom as far as religious freedom in the workplace. And our protection is under, for example, the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment in the U.S. Constitution. We also, there's a Civil Rights Act of 1964, which is a federal law. And there's also another federal law, it's called the Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993. And I found that I could spend money on and do just about anything I wanted to. The main exception is that I could not require an employee as a condition of their employment to attend a Bible study, for example. And I wouldn't even want to do that anyway. Well, on the other hand, if the employee wanted to put up a cross or a picture of Jesus in their workstation, this is one of the other exceptions. I must accommodate them if it doesn't disrupt the business. Well, several years ago, I went to visit 50 business leaders in my city where people that I knew who had a reputation as a Christian. And I went to share how I saw my work as a ministry and not a job, and shared with them all the ministry activities we were doing at our place of business. To my surprise And with every one of these people, these leaders, the message was about the same. Basically, they were saying, Bobby, what I do at church is church, and what I do in business is business. In other words, they were telling me that they live their lives in compartments. And this is why I encourage you, because every leader can build a, a workplace culture where people thrive and profits soar by integrating the lordship of Jesus Christ into every area of your life. Well, uh, in this Lead to Grow lesson 3, think of one or two things that you want to take some action on uh, today, and list those now. Well, thank you for attending this Lead to Grow Part 1, Module 1, Lesson 3 on workplace culture.